Firstly, let us say thank you to Heritage Lottery Wales for funding this short project, which is intended to share memories about Bute Town, Cardiff Bay and the docks from people who were there, knew about it, Cardiff Bay and the docks, from people who were there, knew about it and were a part of it. Now this episode is split into two. This is the first of the two episodes, but this episode is with Beryl Makers, nee Freeman. This episode is with Beryl Makers, nee Freeman, who comes from a very, very famous sporting family. And Beryl is, in every sense, a personality. Childhood, yours.
Oh, yes. But as I said, you don't know where that is.
Childhood, yours.
Oh, yes. But as I said, you don't know where that is. You Victoria Park in Cardiff. I think Canton. We were all born in Canton because my grandmother lives there. And then when my grandmother passed, my father said, oh, I'd rather move down the dock. So we came down here, I think I was 3 when we moved down. And we lived in the same house all those years until they pulled it down. They pulled the houses down. But, I was sorry for the Sophia Street. You know, everybody, yeah. I mean, all that, well, it's a lot of them here now, but I mean, different nationalities, you know. Next door to us in Sophia was Arab. On the other side of us was Norwegian. Then you move up and the girl I went to school with across from me, Selma, her father was Norwegian. You know, so we were all, you know, different nationalities.
Where were your parents from?
Oh, my mother was from here.
Yeah.
Well, my father came from the West Indies when he was 17. But my mother was born in the Bay. And then when my grandfather died, no, before my grandfather died, because he was with someone else, with my nana. And then we stayed there. But of course, I was 3, 4 when I moved down here.
Yeah.
So, but my father, he was from 17. He was 17.
He's a merchant seaman, was he?
Yes,
yeah.
Yes. He was a cook. And Erskine, the boxer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Johnny Erskine and my mother were brother and sister. It's Joey's father and my mother was brother and sister. And then when my brother got older, they picked him for rugby, and then he played for Halifax up in Boston.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, Billy Boston played for Wigan. Johnny played for Halifax, and a couple of other boys.
Was that Johnny Freeman, was it?
Yeah.
Ah, right, yeah.
That was my brother.
Yeah.
And Billy Boston was his mate, but he went to Halifax.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it must be your great-grandmother's time. She had a hell of a lot of sports people in her children and descendants, didn't she? Gosh. I mean,
yeah, that was like, my mother's mother.
Gosh. I mean,
that was like, my mother's mother. Yeah, because there's a picture my friend said, oh, I'll show you. She said, when they were about 18. And she said, oh, I'll bring it up on my mobile phone. She said, and when I see you again, I'll show you. There was a picture together, yeah. Yeah. And Joey was best man in my brother's wedding. Yeah.
I mean, I had a conversation recently, just out the blue, with Joe's son, Joe Erskine Jr.
Oh, I don't know him.
He's up in Derby, lives up in Derby.
Oh, I see.
And he didn't know, and it's funny, people don't know, because they move away, they don't know the details of their own history. And he knew his family was of their own history, and he knew his family were, you know, black, but he didn't know where from, and he didn't know, was it Eustace Erskine? Was that it? He was from...
My grandfather?
yeah.
My grandfather?
Yeah.
Was Uriah.
Uriah Erskine. He didn't know Uriah was...
Grandfather?
Yeah.
My grandfather?
Yeah.
Was Uriah.
Uriah Erskine. He didn't know Uriah was from Jamaica.
Oh, whoa.
He didn't know.
Oh, well.
And it's funny.
He didn't know he had black in him.
He did, but he didn't know where it was.
He had black in him.
He did, but he didn't know where it was from.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, yeah. See, my grandmother was married to him.
Yeah.
And then she had 3 daughters. And then went with Joey Erskine's grandmother.
Right.
And he lived with her.
Right.
And they had a boarding house in Maria Street. And then, of course, my grandmother, up in Essex, my grandmother was from Chelmsford in Essex.
Right.
My grandmother to London, because she lived in Chelmsford, I think. She moved to London and she had a house there. And then the woman next door said, because she had a boarding house, and she said, oh, somebody put a friend of ours up. You know, my grandfather, oh, no. You know, so she said, oh, go on, it's only for a couple of nights. And
yeah, well,
going up to show him the room, she went down on her knees on the stairs, and so she said that the woman next door said, someone's going to get married. Yeah, my grandmother married him, yeah. And then they moved to Cardiff. And then, of course, he had like my mother, my Auntie Louie, my Auntie Liddy. He had, and he had and then, of course, and they got him with Joey's Johnny. And yet, see, being they had different mothers, my Uncle Johnny, that's Joey's father, him and my mother was, oh, God, very close. Very, very close, you know. And then the first time my mother met him, when they moved to Cancer. And, he was 14.
Right.
And that's the first time my mother got in with him. Yeah, it's... and then, of course, I said when we came down here, and then my Uncle Johnny, that's Joey's father, him and my mother, oh, my God, they were close. Yeah. So, what else do you want to know?
A listener, we got it made. I'm a listener and you're a talker. They're perfect.
Yeah, but I mean...
okay, tell me about school. What was school like?
Oh, school was great. But I didn't like school.
What was school like?
Oh, school was great. But I didn't like school.
Which one did you go to?
South Church Street.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And Eleanor, that's who Billy Boston's sister used to sit by one another.
Yeah.
She said this one, she always tells people, this one was always the same. She couldn't have cared less. Oh, I hated it. She said, and Eleanor used to be really, studying and what's name. And I carry on and be laughing and this, that, and the other. And they call me out, the teachers. I couldn't have cared less. Honestly, I couldn't have cared less. And yet my sister Joni and Johnny, my brother, they were very into it, you know.
Yeah.
Into school. And our Joni, she passed the scholarships and she, had a nice job down the docks in office and, she was framed. And then, of course, I just wanted to go to work.
Yeah.
Get over school and go to work.
Get some money. Get some money in your pocket.
Yeah, we came out when we were 14 in those days,
Yeah.
And I wanted to go to work. Yeah, but
so
then,
let me tell you what. Let me take you back on the school age a bit. What about did you go on the Wits and Treats?
Oh, gosh, yes. Gosh, yes. It was wonderful. This entire scene in the lorries. Yeah, we had rope all around us. There's a tyre seat on the back of a lorry. Yeah. Yeah, it was a wonderful, oh God. Yeah, it was a wonderful, oh God. And me and my sister, my older sister, whenever they were having something, we'd go to that church. So we could go with them.
I mean, one of the boys, I can't remember, one of the boys I interviewed, he said all of the young Arab boys, the Muslim boys, used to go to the church for 2 weeks before the trip, so they could get on it.
Yeah. Oh, great! Because our class, we were all mixed in. Oh, great! Because our class, we were all mixed in our school, all the schools anyway. You know, we had all. I mean, I was saying to Eleanor the other day, I said, "God, when we come out of school, there was Selma Lee, it was blonde, and then there was my other friend, Barbara Mutzer, she was Arab girl, and there was Eleanor, and we'd all have our arms around one another coming out of school. You know what I mean?"
Yeah, I do.
It was, oh God, it was great. We didn't know nothing about prejudice and all of that. We didn't know nothing about it.
Yeah.
But we all had to, I mean, Selma Lee, Joni Carpet, they were as white as snow, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we'd all have our arms all around one another, and we'd all play together. And they'd come in the house and have something to eat in our house. And that, you know what I mean?
To eat at everybody's houses. I think them the mums must have cooked for school half the time.
Yeah, because I know my friend further up our street, she used to say, "Oh, what's your mother cooking?" Because my mother always made apple tarts and all the apple tarts and all the pastry that was left over. She'd made little jam tarts and that. So Maureen, she came in this day, and she didn't know my mother just took them out the oven. You know what jam's like, boiling.
Yeah.
She pinched the jam. Screaming. Mama said, "See that you get for nicking. All you have to ask is you have one."
Yeah.
Because my mother was always baking and that. So my father was a cook, see?
Yeah.
At sea.
I mean, I was the baby in my family, and I'm the one who got to get their fingers around the inside of the pot. You know that. You know what I mean? You fight to be the one who could get, when the pot was almost empty. Great.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, my mother used to make those.
And you used to have the old solid metal.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, my mother used to make those.
And you used to have the old solid metal griddle thing.
How old are you? How old are you?
I'm 72.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? With that big slab of metal and the Welsh cakes went on it. Oh.
Oh, God.
Oh, the slab of metal and the Welsh cakes went on it. Oh.
Oh, God.
Oh, the smell.
Yeah, my mother's was round.
Yeah. But it must have been, one of the things that somebody said to me the other day was just walking along some of the streets, you know, Sophia and Millicent. You could walk along them, some of the streets, you know, Sophia and Millicent. You could walk along them, and the smell that was coming out the houses of the cooking from all the way round the world.
Yeah. And where were you from?
All my family are Barry. You know,
and where were you from?
All my family are Barry. You know, I'd say we're a Barry family. Heinz, Paines, one of my, you know, linked up. Darwin Hines was my uncle. Gwen was my auntie.
Oh, well, I knew him, Darwin Hines.
Yeah.
When you
Uncle Gwen was my auntie.
Oh, well, I knew him, Darwin Hines.
Yeah.
When you had the club in Barry. We used to go down there. Ah.
But that's the thing, innit? Barry and Cardiff were just people went back and forth.
Yeah, well, and then before my friend moved up, she lived in Caddixton.
Right.
I used to go down there a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be nice. But I mean, that club in in Barry. We always go down there. Yeah.
So, okay, what was your first job then?
Let me see. Oh, the brushworks.
Right.
Yeah, it was good. The money was good in those days.
Yeah.
And the brushwork. Oh, I had so many jobs. I worked in the brushworks. I worked in the cigar factory, the old cigar factory in Grange.
Yeah. What? Women's.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mum worked there for a while when she come back to Wales.
When I worked in the old one in Grangetown, oh God, great.
Yeah.
But then when I went to the one in Penarth Road, oh my God, it was like being in the Lincoln concentration camp. Oh no, I didn't like it.
Right.
I couldn't stay there long. Oh, I had all kind of jobs. But then when I went to, I was in a show, and my mother sent us when we were little to Miss Marjorie's dancing class in Grangetown.
Right.
We used to go, and yeah, it was good. And then I went in a show.
Where was that? Down in London?
Oh yeah, we used to do London every 3 weeks, all over the country. Yeah, I was 16, going on 17. My mother didn't want me to go. I said, "Well, you sent us to dancing school.
Yeah.
You know, I want to go."
I mean,
Well,
what was that show called? Something Goes to Harlem? Was that it? That's the one.
No, that was another one.
Yeah, but it was girls from the Bay went down to that as well, didn't they? Yeah.
But I'm trying to think what else was called. I know my sister was in Harrington. Well,
Yeah.
God, I was 16, 17. But it was okay experience, you know. Because every third week we played like Shepherd's Bush and Kilburn and, you know, all those places. Yeah, it was okay.
You got about a bit then. You got about a...
Yeah, and then I met my husband, who was American. I went to the States.
When was that then?
Ooh, I was, let me see. Got married when I was 20. I'm 88 now.
Right.
So I was 20. Mm-hmm. Then I went back to the States and she kept on saying, when are you coming? When are you coming? I don't come. So I stayed there a while.
Yeah.
And then Massachusetts, we lived. And then I got my son. Mm-hmm. And I said, oh no, I'm not having him here. I'm going home. I went home. I went home and had Craig. And then I said,
right.
Said, oh, when you coming back? When you coming back? Oh, I'm coming soon. There's a fly in those days.
Right.
Well, I was a bit petrified of flying. And yet, Mama used to say, and you go on a ship and you can't even swim. So I went back with Craig. He was about 5 months old, I should think. And then I started getting married.
Right.
And I said, oh, I want to go home for the wedding, you know.
Yeah.
So he said, you're always back and forth. He said, okay. He said, you're not going to stay long. I said, oh, no. And I came back for my sister's wedding and never went back. Yeah. But my sister's wedding, I was there every year.
Right.
In the States. I used to go every year until all what I haven't been lately because all this lockdown and with my niece. We were there, let me see. It wasn't last year, it was the year before.
Right.
Yeah, because I got nieces and nephews in California and in Illinois and that. And
you just dumped him.
Is he what?
You just dumped him.
No! I I never went back. But in the later years, I was there all the time. And the family, even though I never went back, in the later years, I was there all the time. And the family, even though I never went back, his family was, they were terrific. Oh, every year they sent Craig clothes and different things. They were a great family.
Right.
But,
You love the Bay, you love Cardiff.
that's it.
Yeah.
See, it took me all that time to go. And then I went. And then, oh, God, I was so homesick. Oh, God, I was homesick. Oh, no, I'm not having a baby here. I'm going home. Yeah. So I went, I come home and then he said, oh, when you coming back? When you coming back? And I took him back and then I said, my sister's getting married and going for the wedding. And I went, and then, but then my sisters lived there. And then I used to go every year.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, the point is, it's true. Everybody I've spoken to who's from the Bay and who's from Cardiff, they just miss it. Even though it's different, they just miss it.
It is. And I never had any trouble with people in America.
Mm.
You know, I mean, I've had more what's been said to me, You know what I mean? States, maybe because of my accent.
Well,
you know, it's like, oh, where you from? You know.
Yeah. But also maybe, Beryl, because you've been brought up in a different place, not prepared to take some of the nonsense that the Americans have had all their life. You know what I mean?
Yes. But see, I didn't live in the South.
No.
I lived up the North, Massachusetts. You know, one south of Boston.
Yeah.
And, no, there was nothing prejudice. There was nothing like that there. But they didn't show, you know.
Yeah. Well, they were more likely afraid of you.
And then my husband went to, he said, oh, Betty, you're going home, are you? This was before, he said, oh, Betty, you're going home, are you? This was before I had Craig.
Yeah.
Because he had to go to, he had isolated tour where you couldn't, because he was in the Air Force, where you couldn't take your wives. Up in Greenland, they were. In Greenland.
Whoa, wow.
And he said, oh, you're not going home, are you? You know, I was before my son was born. And my friend, we went to school with, she lived in Arizona.
Yep.
And she said, oh, come down here, Bear, she said, you know. So my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, they were lovely people. And I said, oh, for a couple of months. I was down there for a year until he come back from Greenland. Yeah, so I got back just before he come back from Greenland. Because it was an isolated tour, you know, you couldn't take your wives. So he said, oh, Perry, you're not going home with you. Because he thought, I was like, oh, I won't come back. And I said, no, I'm going to Violet in Arizona. And that's where I went. Oh, it was wonderful. That was lovely.
So you've seen a bit of America then, kid?
Oh, yeah. California. My sister lived. And my other sister lives in Illinois. And, yeah, they used to go, oh, I love cats. That's what I said. It wasn't last year. Janet said, that's my niece.
Mm-hmm.
Said, oh, Auntie Bear, good job we didn't go. We might not be able to get back home.
Yeah. So where in California is your family then, kid?
No, my sister lived in Sacramento.
Yep.
Just outside Sacramento.
Yep.
But my friend lived in Arizona, and I was down there for nearly a year.
Yeah.
And we were best friends there. And then she moved up. And then before she passed, go to my sister Joni in Illinois.
Yeah.
She said, oh, when you come to me for a week before you go to Joni's. I said, okay. So that's what I That's what I done. And,
Okay,
oh, God.
you sound like the right kind of person to ask this question of. What was the nightlife like when
Where?
you were around Cardiff? What was the nightlife like?
Well, they didn't have clubs. Well, we had this club, the Canadian Centre. That's where you...
That's it. That's where Darwin was.
That's where you...
That's it. That's where Darwin was. The Colonial
Darwin.
Centre. Yeah.
Yeah, Darwin Hines.
Yeah.
We used to have dances in there
Mm.
and that. But then, later years, these clubs and that opened down here, didn't they? When we were teenagers, we used to go to the Colonial Centre
Yeah.
dancing, and that. And then people would have a party and this, that, and the other. But down here now, oh, God, you don't see. It's not many of us left.